Hello there, Patriots. It is Praying Medic, and this is my QAnon update for Friday, May 11th. We have a lot of ground to cover in this video. As I was finishing up this thread on Twitter last night, Q kept on posting, so got to be a bit longer than I anticipated, so bear with me. I'll get you through this. There's going to be a lot of commentary. This was originally going to be a thread where I was going to discuss the people who are for and against the president and my thoughts on that. Some people are obviously on the side of the president. Some people are obviously, working for, working against. But there is a third group of people that's harder to gauge. And there's been a lot of discussion about those people. People like Rosenstein, Robert Mueller. A lot of people question whether Jeff Sessions is really working against the president. So we're going to discuss those things in this video. I am not ignorant of the fact that there is a plot to remove the president from office, but I don't think there are as many people that are working on that agenda as is commonly believed. I think the media would like us to believe that effort is much greater and there's a lot more people supporting it than is actually the case. And that is what Q has been telling us. So we need to cover just a couple of housekeeping issues. Q had some trip code problems. This was posted on the board, and that was it. It was on the 8th of May. And then the board owner posted this, hey Q, change your trip code. It's been cracked, de-whitelisting from the Q research board right now. Q came on, we made a mistake on Q research. We exposed our password. We did not input Q # in the beginning, which exposed the password. Error has been corrected. Everything's safe. So then Q updated with a new trip code and confirmed it. So we're good to go. And the UA01BE is the new trip code. And you'll see that on future posts until he changes to a new trip code. So corrected. We all make mistakes. I looked at the responses from the Anons, and I just thought they were precious. So I'm going to read some to you. One of the Anons said, busy is good, so is humility. Thanks again for all you Q team do to MAGA. Another Anon said, good to have you back, Q. Another one said, if anything, your trip code pass only showed your continued dedication. Keck, keep up the good fight, lads. Another one said, shit happens, boss. Glad you guys fixed it so they don't get crafty. Sounds like you could use a cold one or two. Another one said, hey, at least we know for sure you're not artificial intelligence. And then one said, Q, you're awesome. Thank you for all you do, you and the team do. So after a few days of absence, they were glad to see Q back on the board. And so was I. Gave me a little bit of time to do my Q for Newbies video. I'll probably do another one. People have asked me to do a shorter one because the last Q for Newbies video that I did was about an hour, and people have been asking for like a 15 or 20 minute, just a quick video. So if I get time this weekend, I'll try to do one of those. Q posted this, and these are going to be out of order. I've been trying to group the postings of Q by topic lately, getting some short topics in first and then doing the longer topics later so we can not be jumping back and forth from one topic to another. This is a link that Q posted, happy hunting. Here's a link, it's to an Iran Daily News article. The CEO of Rosenstein visited Iran to oversee their nuclear power plants project. Now this article was originally posted in October of 2017, so it's not a new article, but evidently Q thinks there's something in there that is worth us looking into. Rosenstein is the company that was involved in the Uranium One scandal. All right, more housekeeping. A number of people have asked me about some inconsistencies that they caught in some of the things Q has posted, so I'd like to clear those up. Q wrote, and this is an early post from October 31st, the corruption that will come out is so serious, deals must be cut for people to walk away, otherwise 70% of elected politicians would be in jail. So people have said, okay, wait a minute. You said, and then below, there are more good people than bad. So there's this question, if 70% of elected politicians would be in jail, but there's more good people than bad, how do you reconcile that? Okay, it's really simple. Elected politicians only make up 1% of the total population in government. Most of government is non-elected employees, right? So if 70% of politicians, I mean, there's 500 and some representatives in Congress, 100 senators, the president, there are a few other elected positions in federal government. Most of those people could be corrupt, but that would still leave this massive number of several million federal employees who are not corrupt. So don't get too tripped up by those little perceived inconsistencies. If you just think about it, you'll realize that there is usually an explanation for something that is a perceived inconsistency. Now, Q said deals must be cut for the people to walk away. But hey, didn't Q say there were no deals? Well, yes, Q has often said there are no deals. But when Q says no deals, he is not talking about low-level offenders. He's talking about people like Hillary Clinton, the Rothschilds, George Soros, those people. No deals for them. People lower down, and we've seen this already in the FBI investigation. Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Bill Priestap, people of that nature, they've been cooperating with investigators. The only reason that they're cooperating is they're trying to get a deal for a lighter sentence. They're providing information on people higher up in other parts of the organization to save their own skin. And if you don't get information from those witnesses, it's very difficult to prosecute the entire racket. So typically in these big racketeering or government corruption prosecutions, some people are going to get deals. They're the ones that provide information to the investigators. Okay, moving along. Let's see. And yes, Q, by the way, if I have misrepresented your statements, you be sure and let me know, and I will retract what I said. All right. Q updated this message, which he posted a few weeks ago. And I'm going to read it to you. Patriot, and this is a definition, a person who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interests with devotion, a person who regards him or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights, against presumed interference by the federal government. Now, the next one is traitor definition. A person who betrays another, a cause, or a trust, focus, a person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. End of the definitions. Now, Q says, divided you are weak, together you are strong. There was no attempt to divide. Now, what Q is saying here is, when he posted this previously, it was not his intent to divide the Patriots. There was another purpose for it. There was, however, a strategic move to reveal. That was the be careful who you follow thing. Incorrect message was translated, passed, in brackets, autists. Correction was made. No names were mentioned. They revealed themselves. Isn't that interesting? How when Q mentioned people profiteering and trying to gain a big following and have a big audience, Q didn't have to mention anyone. The ones who were kind of guilty, they came out and exposed themselves. Now Q goes on, fake versus false, brackets incorrect, decodes were removed and resolved. Fake and false claims of an unknown allowed access to classified sealed indictments and removed, resolved. All right, let me explain what that is. People have been making fake and false claims that they have access to insider information and things like the sealed indictments, and that was not true, and that's been dealt with. People were making intentionally bad decodes of Q's posts, and that has been dealt with. Okay. Q says, do not fall victim to con artists. There are a lot of them out there. Use logic. Stay on point. This is not about a single person. It's not about fame, followers, or profiteering. We the people, we the people, we the people. There will come a time when they will not be safe walking down the street. That is referring to some well-known politicians who are about to get their clocks cleaned. We will not be held hostage. Sky event. Where we go one, we go all, Q plus. All right. Sky event will be brought up later, as will this subject will be brought up later. So this was posted on the 10th, which is yesterday. Q posted it again last night in slightly different context. Q posted this. This is not a game, Q. This is a previous post about H.R. McMaster's father. Died in a nursing home. It was believed that he died from head injuries from a fall. However, a nurse has been charged in his death, and she's been charged with involuntary manslaughter. Q suggested it was actually retaliation because McMaster lost his position as National Security Advisor, and he was useful to the deep state in that position. Q posted this interesting buildings, actually. So this is the Marina Bay Sands Hotel in Singapore. And Singapore has been chosen to host the peace talks between President Trump and Kim Jong-un, which Q has told us will actually be their second meeting that we know of. All right. If you're curious to know why Singapore was chosen, here's an article from the Washington Post. It's an op-ed about the advantages and strategic reasons why maybe they picked Singapore versus some other place. And we have this. It's just a link to a Twitter status. And here is the Twitter status. That is a low blow to an old friend. It's a news article confirming that John Kerry met with Iranian foreign minister to try to salvage the Iran deal. Q posted this, and President Trump has suggested that Kerry's meeting may have been illegal, and it could be considered a violation of the Logan Act. All right, Q posted this. It's another link to President Trump's tweet. And let me show you the tweet first. It's about 5 most wanted leaders of ISIS were just captured. Here's the post by Q. Names. I have the names for you in just a minute. No name previous meetings. John McCain. Did he meet with these leaders of ISIS previously? I believe he met with some of them. We've covered that in past videos. Panic. Discussions of death and funeral. McCain has been talking about not wanting Trump to attend his funeral. All of that. Medical. Does he really have a medical problem, or is it escape? Now comes the pain. Q. All right, so if these ISIS guys talk, and if they talk about, what they did with McCain and meetings and things, that could be very embarrassing. So here are the names of the 5 leaders of ISIS, and I am not going to read them because I have enough reading to do already, and I don't want to add to it. All right, and this is extra credit. I just found this interesting. This article, it says that the Iraqi agents actually captured the top ISIS leaders by using an app on this one guy's mobile phone and luring these commanders into a trap. This guy was an aide to al-Baghdadi, so a little technology helped him bring in the bad guys. All right, this was posted by Q on the 8th, and this was the day that President Trump announced we were out of the Iran deal. Today, evil lost control and leverage of Iran. Today, POTUS took control of Iran. Today, with pending sanctions and military actions, POTUS will gain more ammunition and intel against them, the bad guys. Suicide watch of the deal kept Iran quiet. The goal was to keep POTUS in until impeachment or his term ended. Bigger than people can imagine, treason is 1/10. Ask yourself, why are they panicking? Ask yourself, why is UK, France, and Germany so involved? Trips to the White House, what are they hiding? Why is Hillary in New Zealand? Why is New Zealand part of the Five Eyes? Why is that relevant? Suicide watch, Q. Yeah, so the plan was to stay in the Iran deal until they could either impeach Trump or his term ended. The Iran deal was a big deal. Look, Merkel and Macron came to the White House not for anything other than to try to keep the United States in the Iran deal. They didn't care about anything else when they came here. Q has already said their only reason for coming to visit was to keep us in the Iran deal. So it is important to a lot of people. Obama, Susan Rice, Hillary Clinton, they all got on Twitter over the last couple of days and have been tweeting about how badly we need to stay in the Iran deal. What is so big about the Iran deal to these people? And why is Hillary in New Zealand? So the Clinton Foundation gets another $5.5 million from New Zealand taxpayers. This is by the New Zealand Taxpayers Union, May 7th. A subsidiary of the controversial Clinton Foundation is set to receive $3.9 million US, or 5.5 million New Zealand, in taxpayer money. In 2018 and 2019, the New Zealand Taxpayers Union can confirm. This is in addition to $8 million given to the organization since 2014. Right, so that is what Hillary is doing in New Zealand, picking up some money. We're going to talk about this again later. Q brings this up. It's kind of interesting because I posted this last night, and then Q brought it up again after I posted it. I don't know how closely Q is following me, but that is the answer to that question. Okay, Q posted this, review time. It's big, and I'm not going to read it all. It's simple. This is just a list of the names of senators and House of Representative people who are not running for re-election, who have resigned. Okay, that's the first row, first column on the left. Second column on the right is a continuation. Note, Trey Gowdy is among them. Also note, Bob Goodlatte is among them. Q then says, oh, Xavier, the California Attorney General, not running for re-election, plus all the people in the DOJ and FBI who have been fired or resigned or replaced, and the CEOs, corrupt CEOs who have resigned. Q says, conspiracy, nothing happening. Goodlatte and Gowdy are important. We'll talk about them in a minute. Chairman of the House Committee on Judiciary, that's Goodlatte. Chairman of the House Oversight and Reform Committee, that's Gowdy. Why is a New York Attorney General resignation important? That would be Schneiderman, who just resigned amid scandal, sexual, I guess he was alleged of beating up some women. What past or current high-profile FBI investigations are within the jurisdiction of New York? Define roadblock. You have more than you know. Do not fall victim to MSM or other fake and false narrative pushes. Stay the course. Where we go one, we go all, Q. All right. Do not listen to the nonsense that the mainstream media is pushing. It is nonsense. Q is telling us, I'm giving you the straight dope, so just trust me here. All right. So Q asked, why is the New York Attorney General resignation important? Well, define roadblock. Yes, let's do that. This is interesting. The Clinton Foundation investigation is based out of New York. And as Attorney General, Eric Schneiderman would have had the ability to influence that case. This is an article from the National Review on why the Justice Department is conducting its probe in the Eastern District of New York, a very Clinton-friendly district. And yes, they specifically wrote in here, it elaborates on the pitched battle between FBI agents who believe they're building a strong case and Justice Department prosecutors who have thrown cold water on it, erecting roadblocks that have made the agents' work more difficult. So, Eastern District of New York has made it really difficult to move this, the Clinton Foundation investigation. Preet Bharara and Schneiderman have probably put some downward pressure on that. And, well, Schneiderman's gone, and Bharara may not be too far behind him. He was removed as U.S. Attorney by Trump, and that was not without a little bit of yelling and screaming. Okay, so Goodlatte and Gowdy are important. They're both stepping down from their positions. Q has mentioned Trey Gowdy before, but not Goodlatte. We're going to review Trey Gowdy real quickly here. So when Q first mentioned Trey Gowdy, he said, trust sessions, Trey Gowdy, TG, departure, HEC, House Ethics Committee. This was in January when Gowdy announced that he was stepping down from his position at the Ethics Committee. And then Q said, it's not to testify. It's not needed for him to step down if you're going to testify. Think logically. We do not need to step down if he's going to testify. Do not chase misinformation. What role might Trey be walking into? Who can we trust? Rats everywhere, evil everywhere, traitors everywhere. Okay? What is that saying? Trey is one of the few people we trust, and he's being groomed for a position, so we are supposed to figure out what that is. And that was in January. Trey has a lot of fans. He's also got a lot of detractors, and I am guilty of talking smack about Trey because he never was able to pull the trigger on the Benghazi deal. He and Jason Chaffetz had a chance to recommend prosecution of Hillary for the Benghazi debacle, and that has left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. But I think there's an explanation for that, and we're going to just walk through that here in the next few minutes. So to find out why Jason and Trey could not pull the trigger on the Benghazi recommending a prosecution, we have to go back to FBI Anon, who posted on 4chan back in July of 2016. I've referred to this many times in previous videos. There is so much good information from FBI Anon. He came on 4chan and said, I have intimate knowledge of the Clinton investigation. He was working on the Clinton investigation. His posts, I think he was on there for 2 or 3 days, which is really interesting too, because, you know, a lot of these people who claim to be government employees, they'll go on 4chan or 8chan and they'll post for a day or 2 or 3. FBI Anon, I think, did 2 threads and then it was gone. Q has been posting on 4chan since October. That is a long time to be a LARP. Okay, so anyway, back to our discussion. One of the Anons asked, you mentioned in the thread before that Hillary is reckless. Actually, his exact words were, she's a reckless idiot. Could you elaborate on that? And FBI Anon said, she kills too many people too obviously. Right, so the FBI agent is telling us, we know in the FBI that Hillary kills people and she does it in stupid ways that make it really obvious that what's going on. That's how she's reckless. Another Anon asked if there is evidence of the widely rumored Clinton body count. Is there any evidence of the Clinton machine having 20 to 40 people murdered? I can't find the picture. FBI Anon says, plenty of evidence, dig deep. So again, we have here someone who claims to be an FBI agent who says there's lots of evidence that the Clinton machine really does have people killed. Now, FBI Anon also said this. It was asked if Hillary was going to be indicted and if there was enough information to indict her. And FBI Anon said there's already enough to indict her. Comey has been trying to stall because he doesn't want to face the Clinton machine, as well as the rest of D.C. So the FBI director is afraid of the Clinton machine, didn't want to recommend indictment because maybe he didn't want to end up dead. Okay, now think about that. The FBI director is afraid of the Secretary of State and her machine, which is known by the agency to have people killed. If you were Trey Gowdy, how would you feel about your chances of surviving the next year if you recommended prosecution for Hillary over Benghazi? If you were Robert Mueller, how would you view your odds of seeing another birthday if you recommended that she be prosecuted over Uranium One? That's the thing that we have to reconcile. People have criticized Gowdy and Chaffetz and Mueller and Rosenstein for not recommending prosecution like they should have. But you have to realize they were up against a force to be reckoned with. Rosenstein, U.S. Attorney for Maryland that had jurisdiction over Uranium One, they only prosecuted that Russian guy. They didn't prosecute anybody else. Why? Well, do you think Rosenstein would have sacrificed himself and put his family at risk just to put Hillary in jail? Just to have it go to the DOJ and have Eric Holder say, no, not going to prosecute. Okay. Last October, when Q started posting, he said this: remember, the FBI and military intelligence have an open investigation into the Clinton Foundation. Why did Comey drop it? Why did Comey drop the Clinton Foundation investigation? Was he afraid? Who was the FBI director during the Haiti crisis? That was Mueller. That was 2010. How many kids disappeared? How much money was sent to the Clinton Foundation under the guise of Haiti relief that went to Hillary? What countries donated big money to the Clinton Foundation and why? How much was owed by the accepting? When she lost, how would it be repaid? What did Obama do with the cash just prior to leaving office? Repayment to those who donated for favors and access because she lost? Dig. Again, good people were forced into bed with this evil under personal and family threats. Could you live with yourself helping to cover up such evil, despicable acts if you were given a safe way out? Okay, so let's connect a couple of things. Q asked, who was FBI director during Haiti? Mueller. Did he go along with all the Haiti and the Benghazi fiasco and all these scandals in the Obama administration? Fast and Furious. I mean, pick your scandal. Did Mueller go along knowingly and willingly, or was he held hostage to this situation? Q here says good people were forced into bed with this evil because they were being personally threatened and their families were being threatened. And if your response is, well, they should have done the right thing and they should have prosecuted the Clintons and put them in jail, my response is, the FBI only investigates. The FBI does not prosecute. Prosecution is the Department of Justice, and DOJ was under Eric Holder. And do you honestly think Holder would have prosecuted Hillary or anybody connected to Hillary? That was never going to happen. Trey Gowdy, Jason Chaffetz, Rod Rosenstein, Mueller, they all knew dang well. They could recommend prosecution. There's no way Holder would let it happen. So if they recommend prosecution, they're risking their life for nothing because it's never going to be prosecuted, not under Holder. So I believe these guys were in a very difficult situation. I believe these are the people Q is referring to when he said, could you live with yourself helping to cover up such evil, despicable acts if you were given a safe way out? So they were offered a safe way out because they didn't want to live with the guilt of knowing that they covered this stuff up. What was the safe way out? I believe the generals who recruited Trump offered protection for Rosenstein, Mueller, Gowdy, whoever else wanted to go along with and take down the Clinton crime family and the deep state. That is my position today. That, when I look at what Q has been telling us, that is the conclusion I have to come to. These people have thought the entire time Mueller was working on their side, but I think they're going to be surprised because I think Mueller and Rosenstein were offered a chance of redemption. So Q said Gowdy was one of the people that we can trust. He said, rats everywhere, evil everywhere, who can we trust? Trey Gowdy has said he is returning to his work in law enforcement because he's fed up with Congress. He's going to be a prosecutor. And who is he going to prosecute? I think he's going to be joining John Huber and the other attorneys who are going to be prosecuting the deep state. Who knows, maybe Rudy Giuliani will be jumping in too. Giuliani was off the radar for how long? 7, 8 months? No one saw or heard of him until this last week. Where are all these prosecutors suddenly coming out of the woodwork? Since Goodlatte has been added to the list today, I would assume that when he leaves Congress, he's stepping down. He is going to have some role to play in the justice phase of the operation. I know my theory does not mesh well with the reports we're hearing from the mainstream media. There are 1,000 ways you can argue that I'm wrong, and that's fine. What about Flynn? What about Cohen? What about Stormy Daniels? What about Manafort? What about this? What about that? I get it. I've heard it all. I know about Flynn's, the fundraisers to get money to raise money for Flynn because he's supposedly lost all his money, lost his house and everything. I get that. I understand that. I've heard that. I'm not saying anything about that. What I'm saying is I'm just telling you what Q has told us. Q has told us all of this is smokescreen. I believe Q is who he claims to be. I know for a fact the media isn't. They're not who they claim to be. The Mockingbird media is the mouthpiece of the deep state. They will lie to you every single day. And we continue going back, even though Q and everyone has told us you shouldn't listen to the media because they're lying. We continue going back. But Hannity said, but Mark Levin said, but this guy said, but that person said. Yeah, well, you know what? You should stop listening to those people and you should start listening to Q. Because Q has legitimate inside information. Q is pulling back the curtain and showing us what is really going on. All right, so if Trump is indeed protected by generals, which seems pretty obvious to me at this point, then this is a military operation. And if it's a military operation, then military strategies and tactics are being employed. And that necessarily includes diversion, deception, and subterfuge, which means smoke and mirrors and deception. And that means that not only can you not trust the mainstream media, you can't trust Trump's team to openly tell you what they're doing. You don't even know who's on the team. You don't know the goals. You don't know what they're trying to accomplish. It is mass confusion because you can't really rely on the openly reported obvious things that you see on Twitter and in the media. You can't rely on any of that to tell you where this is all going and who is on what side. You can't. You can guess. You can use your intuition. You're going to be wrong. That is why we need an insider to tell us what's going on. And that does explain why there's so many conflicting opinions about Rosenstein and Mueller, because there's all this subterfuge, there's all this distraction. And if you just look at the news articles and if you look at the facts and look at things that are coming out, there are a lot of inconsistencies about what Mueller is doing in his mission. Tracy Beans did a really good thread on this a week or two ago. And she just looked at all the inconsistencies and weird things that don't add up. And if you're being objective and you look at those things, you will eventually start to see that this is not what it appears to be. And look, all of this also explains the mission of Q. How would Trump's supporters know what Trump's team is doing if the entire operation is cloaked in deception and the media can't be trusted? How do we know what's going on? If we can't trust the media and we can't trust Mueller's report and we can't trust even Fox News, how do we know what's going on? Because it's all smoke and mirrors. That is what Q is for. Trump's team would need a publicly available channel of communication that they could use coded messages which they could confirm in their own way at the right time that the plan is working, that Trump is safe, and that everything's going the way it's supposed to be, or if there are issues. So Q is that back channel of communication for us. Q is telling us, look, you're seeing all this stuff going on in the media. Don't pay attention to it. Pay attention to what I'm telling you because I'm an insider and I've given you tons of proof to, give you confidence to trust what I'm saying. That is Q's mission. And look, Q warned us from the beginning that Flynn was going to play a big part in this mission. One of the very first posts. This is November 5th. Flynn, what is Flynn's background? What is his rank? Was he involved in intel ops? What access or special privileges? Why is it relevant? Setup? Who wins? Who becomes exposed? Who knows where the bodies are buried? Who has access? What is military intelligence? Who was part of military intelligence during Barack Obama's term? Who was fired during his term? Why is it relevant? So Q has told us from the beginning, look, Flynn, there is no one in the world who probably surpasses General Flynn's knowledge of military intelligence. And I believe General Flynn is one of the key players that's running this operation. And if a military intelligence person is running this operation, you can bet there is no end of smoke and mirrors And Flynn himself has probably put himself up as a sacrificial lamb in the media to distract and to subterfuge so that people don't know what's really going on. And look, Q has always told us Flynn is safe. Who knows where the bodies are buried? Flynn is safe. We protect our patriots. So you can believe the media if you want to. I choose not to. I'm believing Q, and I'm not worried about Flynn. Flynn is a patriot. These guys are taking care of him. Flynn is probably he's probably running this operation, and he's probably communicated a lot of stuff to us through this board. All right. So if Flynn is telling you he's safe, he's safe. Trust him. He knows what he's saying. I'm not saying Q is Flynn, but the general is definitely a part of the team, and he probably has a lot of input into the situation. So Q has suggested that the narrative about General Flynn is probably a smokescreen. This was in 25th of April. We all knew Flynn would be challenged, part of the plan. Flynn Jr.'s recent statements, he did not lie to the vice president. Timing. Why did he bring it out at that time? Plan. Signal sent. White House position. Moves and counter moves. Does he have a role outside the White House? Lost his house. Funds for legal. Beat up. You are watching a movie. Movies are scripted. Movies have actors. Just a few weeks ago, Sundance at Conservative Treehouse was convinced that Mueller was a black hat. This week, as a result of new information that he uncovered, including the fact that Mueller had spoken with Admiral Rogers and Dan Coates, who is he's DNI, Director of National Intelligence. Now Sundance is moving toward the direction that maybe Mueller actually is a white hat. He said you could make a case either way, that Mueller is a white hat or a black hat. One of the things that people are concerned about is the delay in bringing forth these unredacted documents from the DOJ. And a lot of people are suspecting, well, one of them is it's Rosenstein's instructions to Mueller redefining Mueller's investigation. A lot of people think there is some dirty poker going on there, that Rosenstein is deep state and that Mueller is deep state, and that they secretly plotted to make sure that Trump would be the target of the investigation. I think they're all going to be surprised. I think we're going to find out that when we get the unredacted documents, that if anything, Rosenstein probably made Trump less of a target of the investigation. This is a post by Q. It's not too difficult to understand. I will read it to you, though. Think logically. Mass exodus in D.C. Politicians leaving. Mass exodus corporate CEOs. Why? Who has the power? Maybe they're leaving because they know Trump has got the power. Who has the control? If Trump is not in control, why would they be retreating? Who is the AG, Attorney General? Who must approve the firing and dismissal of DOJ officials? That would be the Attorney General. Reread DOJ organizational changes. It's open source. There's more in the pipeline coming down. Who's the FBI director? Why are they slow-walking unredacted data? Why are they slow-walking document disclosures? Why is the White House backing up the DOJ? If the same data is being used by other investigators, or what if the same data is being used by other investigators? Wait a minute, Q. Are you telling us that maybe the Inspector General or Huber are using that data and that it can't be used, it can't be publicly disclosed because it's being seen by a grand jury? All right. We actually know that that's happening. I think Bob Goodlatte mentioned a while back that they were going to request information from the DOJ, but of course nothing that would be currently being used by a grand jury. So if you assume that the unredacted information is not being given because they're hiding something, maybe it's because that same information is being seen by a grand jury. And if it's being seen by a grand jury, they can't make it public. All right. And Q says, what does it mean if a grand jury is impaneled? Oh, well, that's what I've just been yakking about for the last 2 minutes. Why are confusing questions asked as to the outcome regarding Mueller? because Q wants the deep state to not be too sure about whose side Mueller is on. What would be the purpose of creating confusion? Distraction, confusion. Get people overconfident. What was Sessions' Senate confirmation vote? He squeaked by because they knew, the swamp knew Sessions could potentially come after them. What was Rosenstein's Senate confirmation vote? Almost unanimous. If Rosenstein is dirty, Mueller must also be dirty because they're both connected to uranium-1. If Mueller is dirty, Rosenstein must be dirty. Common denominator. Why did Sessions pick Rosenstein? Everyone has an opinion. Few have the facts. Few know the plan. Midterms, save and push. Swing voters going to retake the House and Senate. Impeach proceedings, open source, initiated. Power at all costs, blue wave. Use logic. Why must the DOJ and the FBI be cleaned out first before the prosecution? What is the DOJ responsible for? DOJ prosecutes. What is the FBI responsible for? They investigate. Why did Hillary get a free pass? Because she had people in the DOJ who refused to prosecute her or her cronies. Use logic. Define single shooter. Who is Huber? He's a single shooter. Define Inspector General. When does Sessions step back in? As soon as the Inspector General's report comes out, Sessions can then take action on it because it's not related to the election. It is related to an internal investigation inside the Department of Justice. And I just tweeted out something. It's actually a CNN reporter. He's a political reporter who said, insider sources who are familiar with the OIG report are saying it's going to be much more damning than they expected. It's going to be very critical of the seventh floor of the FBI. So that report is about to drop imminently. And when it does, Sessions suddenly wakes up from his recliner and he's not taking a nap anymore. He hasn't been taking a nap, people. It's all been theater. Q says timing is everything. DOJ does not discuss ongoing investigations or confirm specific matters. What about the active investigation into leaks? And this is a quote. Horowitz oversees a nationwide workforce of more than 450 special agents, auditors, inspectors, attorneys, and support staff whose mission is to deter waste, fraud, abuse, and misconduct in the DOJ programs and personnel, and to promote economy and efficiency in department operations. Okay, Q continues. Why did MP Mike Pompeo step into the CIA prior to the Secretary of State? Well, I would imagine, it's been my assumption, that Pompeo was in CIA to do recon. He was there to figure out what needed to be cleaned up, what actions needed to be taken, and then go to State Department. They're deeply connected, right, because they're both part of the deep state. Think offshore, military intel providing support during this time. Why are selected executive orders aggressively being written and put into law? State and CIA next? Yes. Think logically. No outside comms. Justice. Q. Yes, state and CIA. So whenever the president has gotten approval for somebody in a department head position, he always writes executive orders, giving them mandates and the ability to do some of the things that they're required for their job. And you're going to be seeing executive orders being written concerning State Department and CIA, because if Gina Haspel gets confirmed as CIA chief, she and Pompeo can go to town and they can start cleaning up the deep state elements in their respective agencies. Q says no outside comms. What does that mean? That means other than these boards, he is not communicating anywhere else. Not on Twitter, not on Facebook, not on Reddit, not anywhere else. All right, let's move along. Speaking of pens, we have another pen drop. This is the fourth pen photo that has been posted by Q. There was one in December, one in January. There may have been two in December, and then there was this one. The pen photo, let me see if I click on that, if I can zoom in. It is a pen it's oftentimes, it is along with White House stationery. And this is a really not so good image, but yeah, there's White House stationery there. And this is the famous president's pen that we've seen a million times. Well, not a million times, but FYI, name of the file, DOJ Nunez release. That is the name of this file. Now, Q a couple of weeks ago asked us to match up all the pen photos he had posted with executive orders that followed them. On May 7th, he just said what executive orders are aggressively being put into law. State and CIA next, think logically, right? So I believe whenever Q drops a pen picture, it's a heads up to us to anticipate some executive orders. One was signed yesterday. We're probably going to see a few more. So I will, when I get time, I'll look at the executive orders and find out what they are about. Okay, moving along. Q posted this, rank and file, DOJ, FBI, CIA CIA, State Department, G2, collect, SIS, good, military intelligence. This is signals intelligence, this is military intel. The you are not forgotten, overcome, Q. Q is basically telling that the people who work in the intelligence community, both civilian and military, the president has not forgotten them. He does appreciate their work, and they need to just overcome and it's, the failure is mostly in the leadership. It's not the rank and file people, it's really the leaders. So Q wants them to know, hey, we're with you. He also posted this flag. These are both on the Patriots fight board. These low numbers, 76, 75, these are just the post numbers on his new board, Patriots fight, Castle Lock. I have no idea what that means. All right, Q posted this, fellow Patriots, what you're about to learn should not only scare you, but intensify your resolve to take back control, brackets freedom. The information that will become public will further demonstrate the criminal and corrupt, pure evil abuse of power that the Hussein administration undertook in joint efforts with domestic and foreign dignitaries. The snowball has begun rolling. There is now no stopping it. D5. Stay the course, trust the plan. Protective measures are in place, remain brave. We knew this day would come. There's a link to a video. United we stand, where we go one, we go all. We fight, conspiracy no more, Q. All right, D5. People have been asking about D5. And look at the context, and you'll figure it out. It's not hard. It's not some big thing you have to go researching. Hussein administration undertook in joint efforts with domestic and foreign dignitaries. The snowball has begun rolling. There is no stopping now. Day 5. Stay the course. Trust the plan. Okay. This is, I believe what this is, and I'm not saying this is absolute, but I believe it's just this is the 5th day that the snowball has been rolling, and it's going to continue, and we're going to see more prosecutions. We're going to see the things we want. This video will get Donald Trump elected. If you have not seen it, you should see it. All right. Q posted this last night. This is again on the Patriots fight board, number 77. Example, Clinton Foundation, post-election loss, layoffs, no access or control equals no donations. Today, New Zealand donation restart. Others, why? Selling secrets, selling future access if she regains control or power. Is she selling silence? Read below, slow and carefully. FVEY, this is the Five Eyes. Five Eyes is the joint agreement we have with Australia, Canada, UK, New Zealand, and Australia, where intelligence is shared among all 5 countries. And Q says, why do former dignitaries still hold security clearance? US to US equals logged, flagged, and recorded. So if a US person holding a security clearance is in a US facility, their access to the database is logged, flagged, and it's recorded. But if a US dignitary is in New Zealand or Australia or Canada, there are no logs, no flags, no records. U.S. security clearance, authorization, 5 eyes. You can view or take documents without any records or flags. So how do you get around the records keeping inside of these secure intelligence communities? Just go outside your country. So Obama or Susan Rice or anybody could go to London, go to Toronto, go into a secure facility, get the information, and there'd be no record that they accessed it. Why do we allow former dignitaries security clearance? Welcome to the deep state. Future proves past. Q. This is just an old article. The Clinton Global Initiative laid off 22 people as their donations dried up after the election, and they actually closed up shop. But now she's back. So Q asks, selling silence? What if Hillary was blackmailing New Zealand's intelligence service over their participation in illegal intelligence operations under the Obama administration? That would be sneaky. Hillary and Obama get New Zealand and Australia and GCHQ in the UK to participate in illegal intelligence ops, and then they blackmail them and threaten to go public or leak it to the press unless they pay them money. These people are sick. All right, so why do we get security clearances? Not for the reasons that we've been told. All right, Q said this, Facebook is listening to you 24/7, 365. Literally, F9 algorithm. Are they recording and safe housing? Metadata collection, Building 8, DARPA, China, China, China. Q. Zuckerberg wants to know, what do those brackets mean? Trump says, you are in the kill box. There's a lot of information on Facebook's Building 8 program. It's a very strange, futuristic program that meshes computer technology with human technology. They actually feel like they can project your thoughts through a computer onto social media, where you can communicate to people just through thoughts, and the computer technology will pick up your thoughts and ideas and transmit them. Pretty creepy stuff, actually. So one of the Anons said, hey, that F9 thing, is that referred to Falcon 9 project? And SpaceX's Falcon 9 thing blew up a while ago. And then there's this article, China's surveillance system can scan a population in 1 second, and there's some other links to other articles. This guy said F9, Falcon 9, China. Q said explore further. So just going out on a limb here. Q previously posted, and this was on April 5th, he suggested that when China's space station fell out of orbit, that it may not have been an accident. It may have been retaliation. Why? Because it seems like China has been kind of doing some things that are unethical, particularly with regard to Facebook. Is Facebook selling data to China? Is SpaceX launching missiles and launching satellites, I should say, that are going to be used against us to spy on us? So my question is, are we taking action against SpaceX and China to deter their efforts to spy on us? And let's go further out on a limb. People have been asking about those photos that were posted about the Apple headquarters in Hong Kong, the truck with the boxes on there. My belief is that those are phones in those boxes. Planes landing in and out of the Bay Area, and Apple's headquarters. What if, Facebook is willing to sell data to China? Would Apple do it? Did Apple get caught in an agreement allowing China to spy on us through their phones? I don't know. It's just a question. And Q says we need to explore all this stuff further. One of the Anons asked, is this the Big Sky event? Marina Bay Sands, Singapore. And Q responded, "Note the pictures that we post are all originals." Think about what that means. What that would mean to me is maybe they have assets in place. Maybe they've got people on the ground scouting, looking for black hats. And yeah, it could be the Sky event. I took a swing a couple weeks ago and thought, hey, maybe it's at the tarmac meeting at Sky Harbor Airport. Q has not confirmed that, so I'm thinking that's a wrong guess. All right, let's continue. Q posted again, and this is small, I apologize, I'll just read it to you. Expand your thinking. Why are we being attacked? We being Q and his team. Why are we being attacked by people who claim to be pro-Trump? Ooh, that's a good question. You know, I have noticed some of my so-called friends attacking Q, and they claim to be pro-Trump, but they're attacking Q, which to me makes no sense, because you can't find anyone who is more pro-Trump than Q. Why would you attack Q? Because all Q has ever done is helped us understand in a greater way what the president is trying to accomplish. To me, it doesn't make any sense why anyone who would say that they're pro-Trump and they're attacking Q. But I digress. Let's move on. Do we have a face? Do we have a name? Do we use platforms where we collect followers? Selfless, zero vanity. Why are we here? Why do we ask questions? They ask questions because they want you to do your own research and figure this out on your own, not listen to some talking head like me telling you what it all means. The choice has always been yours. Use logic, free information. What draws people here? Expanding exponentially. They all claim to be insiders. They all claim to have insider contacts. They do not. Patriots do not reveal classified information. Why do we communicate this way? Think for yourself. Clickbait? We are a threat to profiteering. Information should flow freely without costs. We established a series of proofs for this very specific reason, undeniable, unpredictable, coincidence after coincidence, growth due to confirmations, real sources, communicating with the people, unrestricted, together. Control the information. They harness followers and profiteering. They define media. Well, that's what the media does. The media controls the information, and they harness their followers, and so they can make a profit. What is the primary goal of the media? To make money and to spread a narrative. To sell, each selling a different narrative and a different set of targets. Selling makes money. Be careful who you follow. Define patriot. They want you divided. Attacks will only get worse. Q. I could have done without that last sentence. Attacks are going to get worse. I've already seen enough of this nonsense and I'm tired of it. But Q is warning us that attacks will get worse. Why? Because Q is a threat, not just to the mainstream media, but to some of these outlets who portray themselves as alternative media. Q has legitimate insider information. Everyone from the American intelligence media to Alex Jones, they all claim to have insider sources. They all claim to have information in the deep state. And Q is making them all look like idiots. Just going to say that. Q then posted this. It's a link to a Reddit thread. This is why we are here. I just got on Reddit a little while ago, and I've been posting my videos there. And I am interacting with people on the Great Awakening. This is the long and secret info wars against Q and how he stayed alive. You really need to know this and move on. I read this morning, and it is very sobering. I would strongly recommend coming here and checking out this thread. It'll take you 10, 15 minutes to read it. It'll give you a very clear understanding of who Q was talking about and what the issues were when Q had been posting these type of messages over the last few weeks. I had no idea what was going on. I'm trying to stay out of the drama. I don't want to get involved in other people's, messages and platforms. I have enough of a hard time just trying to keep up with my emails and private messages on Twitter. I don't have time to get involved in anybody else's business. But Q kind of made this public now, so I would recommend going and checking out this article on Reddit. That is all Q has posted, and I still have a little bit of voice left. I am going to sign off for this broadcast. I love you all. Thank you for the prayer. Keep me in prayer. Keep my wife Denise in prayer. Keep the president in prayer. Keep Q and the team in prayer. And as Q posts again, I will be on this as quickly as I can. Thank you for your patience and waiting. Sometimes it does take a while for me to get my videos out there. Thank you to those of you who are financially supporting us. We love you. And you know what? Even if you're not supporting us financially, we love you. We appreciate everything you're doing to just get the word out. Look, if you share a video or share something with a friend or relative, you're helping get the word out, and that is what really matters. You are a patriot as much as anyone else. Love you all. Take care. Praying Medics signing off. Catch you on the next broadcast.